I have an amazing panel with me right now. We also have more people jumping in, but for right now, these two amazing guys take the time out this evening to recap of what happened, especially me, what happened yesterday, Sunday. Before I even say any more, let me introduce. So we're gonna start with my boy Eric. And Eric, real quick, why don't you introduce everyone? Where you from? Who's your team? And let's rock and roll.
All right. Well, I'll tell you one thing up front. I'm the one and only team that's America's team. So I know not too many people are like that, but hey, um, representing Texas. Again, I'm a Cowboys fan. I'm here to just have a good time and talk sports.
Oh man, appreciate you stepping on. We also got my boy back to back. We have to bring him on. My boy, David, real quick. David, let everyone know real quick where you're from. Let them know who it is, what happened. But before, where you from, my guy? Let everyone
So
know real quick.
how you doing, everybody? I'm David Cordray. I'm currently in San Antonio, Texas, but I'm originally from Western New York. Rochester, Buffalo, some small towns in between. I've been in Texas for 20 years now. I say y'all and everything, man. I got a cowboy hat. It's back there someplace. Of the fans in this area, am not a hater. I got much respect for the Cowboys. They're just not my
Yeah,
team.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yep. So thank you for having me on the show again,
Well,
Eric.
man,
It's a pleasure to meet you, and I'm really
yeah.
looking
You
forward to
too.
having some
You
fun
too.
tonight.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
well, we're looking forward to it tonight. We're gonna start it off real quick. Everyone knows your boy Fresh. I rep the Eagles. We fly high. Especially last night, it did not happen. Of course, we anticipated for a walk-in, for a good execution, but I thought for a second that our second string would have step up, come in, but due to hours on the clock before the game, of course, everything has changed. So our expectation just went out the door. I would
Hmm.
love to have our team to come out with the dub, but before we do that, let's get right into some of these hot questions real quick. So let's look at it real quick. The
Let's go.
highlights from you guys' team. All right, what was the recent highlight you guys think about? I know you guys had a big rival Sunday. Dallas and the Bills Mafia. So real quick, just give us a little details of what was the highlight you guys experienced this past game.
Okay. Man, where do I begin? I can't. So I'll say this though. As a Cowboy fan, it really wasn't too many highlights that was on our side. We got to take our hats off to the Bills because they came to play. Um, one of the things that stood out to me early on is they showed that they were going to run the ball, and so they stuck with it. So from well, you know what, I'll say this: there was some good that I saw, that I'll take from that, and I'll say this: we can't say that Dak Prescott is a game manager, and I'll tell you why. We can't say it now because I believe that the Bills, I believe their whole concept was to keep him off the field. They didn't want Prescott to win that game. And that's
Yeah.
something that you don't get from a game manager. They don't care if he's
Well, of
on the
course, I think
yeah.
no, I think that you're absolutely right. I mean, we really, I mean, as an ops from a person from thinking from of course a different fan base, I just want to say like the pressure was on. What was the guys' expectation? In the defense that were basically the Bills. The Bills were bringing it. They knew that what their intentions were. They knew that this was a big, crucial game for them. Um, and am I right, David? David, let them know. Like, what do you think that was a big factor for you guys going into this game, and really giving it to Dallas Cowboys?
So I said last week, or last time we were on the show. Well, I'm not even sure if it was a full week ago, but um, I was wondering if the Cowboys had in their mind already, hey, we're in the playoffs. There's a lot of like younger players. There's a lot of inexperienced. Like there's not a lot of players on that team that have run deep into the playoffs or that have a lot of leadership. skills in my mind. They're great athletes. I'm sorry, other Bills fans. I think all around
Mhm.
that the season has showed that the Cowboys are a better football team than we are this year,
Mhm.
right? And I think that we showed up to play. And I'm not sure if you've ever been in Buffalo before, but it's right by the lake, and it's a little
Yeah,
even
yeah,
at 40 degrees and rainy. It's
yeah,
cold,
yeah.
So I'm
That
not sure
that
if
that
Dallas was ready for that, but
yeah.
I was wondering if Dallas thought to themselves, we're already in the playoffs and we're going to play soft because of that. So we started the playoffs last
Yeah.
week because we got to win out, right? So
Who-
we're backed into a corner, and we put it all on the line, and it really showed. I think it was the best 2 out of 3 series that the Cowboys probably, with the teams that we both have this year, that the Cowboys probably take 2 of those games,
Mhm.
right? They're a really solid team. What stood out to me is that the Cowboys defense is built for the pass. They're built to
I
defend the pass.
I
And
agree.
when our new offensive coordinator Brady realized that, and when the run game started working, he went with it really funny and really quick. Before I pass it on to y'all, Josh Allen said after the game, he said, "I feel like a kid that got an A for the class project but didn't do anything."
Didn't do nothing. I heard that. It hurt. It was a punch to the gut, but it was true.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
as a Cowboy fan, we've experienced that before a couple of years ago with St. Louis. So, um, we that's something we got to do something about. So I agree,
Yep.
and I believe we will.
Well, honestly, that game was really amazing on both sides. Right now, I'm trying to get another Bills fan in too as well. He goes by Tony Tuta, my boy from New York. He lives off there by upstate, by Long Island, I think. And so I'm trying to get him on the phone. But just talking about real quick and recap of you guys' game. I mean, the offense showed up. Josh Allen knew what he was. I like to say from Cam Newton, managing the ball, managing the play. He basically took the opportunity of the running game. Man, I was really impressed at the running game that Buffalo took. Really, no offense, Eric. I mean, shout outs to Cowboys, but the defense let that running game eat them up. I was really anticipating a good stop. Parson, stepping up to the play, and we talked about this on your podcast. Blitzing from the corner.
Uh-huh.
Putting the pressure on the quarterback. I mean, Dallas is known to put a lot of pressure, even on the quarterback, to make him freeze, from the ball. There's so many factors I know that Dallas and everyone asks me, well, you must be a Dallas fan. No, I'm a person that watch and make sure, because like we're gonna we're in a division for a purpose,
Hmm.
right? We watch Eagles and Cowboys are about to be the next rivals, going into the 2020, right?
Yeah,
The biggest
yeah.
rivals I know back in the day was the Redskins, but right now, look at us. We're the same record right now. Of course, last night was terrible. Uh, I know. Did you guys saw that game last night by any chance, Eric and David? By any chance?
Yep.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
What would you guys what were you guys thoughts real quick about that game last night? If you guys saw the Philly game, did you guys saw the Philly game last night?
I did. So I'll say this. And I mentioned it before. It seems to me, and maybe it's because I'm a Cowboys fan, but I like Jalen Hurts. It seems like he
Hmm.
playing hurt. It doesn't seem like he's real, all the way 100, and it's showing. I think that I think that maybe it had something to do with play calling, compared to last year. But for me, from what I see, the difference between him last year and now, he's not the same. I think he may be playing hurt and he's pushing through it.
Yep. Yeah, there's something going on. I thought it might have been like mental. Maybe there's some strife in the locker room or something. But
Yeah,
at week 8, I was questioning whether anybody was going to beat the Eagles this year. They're not the
yeah,
same team. They are
nope,
not the same
Yeah.
team.
nope.
Yeah, so there's something going on behind the scenes, whether it be a major injury, and several players
Yeah.
maybe pushing through major injuries. They don't
Hmm.
look like the same team to me. Like, I watched
Nope.
several of the early season games, and like I said, by week 8, I was like, man, they might go undefeated this year.
Yeah,
And they did not look like that team last night.
yeah. Well, let me point something out too, real quick, if it's okay.
Oh,
Skip
definitely.
And so Skip Bayless pointed out something early. He took a lot of flack for it, but early on, I think maybe there was about three games that the Eagles they won late in the game, right? You know, they barely won those games. He
Yep.
pointed
Yeah.
that out, and I think because they never fixed that, right? Now it's starting to come back and haunt them because you can't play professional football like that and it continue to it's going to show up. And now as we're getting later on into the season,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just not working for them.
Yep.
Like you're saying, like you said earlier, David. Um, Teams like the Bills, they're playing with a chip on their shoulder. You know, they hungry, and
Yep.
so when they run into to us, and we're feel like okay, we're in there, right? We That's one of the things that I have against us as a Cowboy player. Sometimes we tend to play to fall back a little bit, right? But you can't do that, and I think that's one of the things that happened.
Yep.
Um, too. Yeah.
I mean, I saw the same clip. I know we were talking about. I was very. I mean, he was right. I mean, our season right now. I mean, Hurts did it 10 straight wins. Right? Were they ugly wins? Yes. Um, well, there's a lot of adjustments that could have been fixed going into the season. Yes. I mean, they're doing it now before they go into a playoffs. I know we just changed out our defensive coordinator. We instead of him being on the ground, they basically had him upstairs to just observe. We did have a defense that did show up last night. Now we have to work on our offense. I mean, Johnson really, I was listening on this call and knowing that Jalen Hurts played for Alabama, and then basically what happened was when the head coach told him, when no one's open, run. But
Hmm.
we have a strong running game. Why do we have to let Jalen Hurts run and neglect our receivers? We have people in position. I think at this point that they need to make a big adjustment in our offense coordinator, and
Hmm.
Nick Sirianni, he needs to start calling the calls. Like I know that he's trying to be head coach, he's trying to be a famous, he's trying to do this and do that, but
Okay.
the team's crumbling right now in front of him.
Hmm.
The team's getting upset. The quarterback, he has a lot of going on. I mean, just there's no leadership, taking ownership, and right now you can see it in their eyes and you can see it on the field. You know, of course, we should be executing in the first half and not getting destroyed in the second half.
Hmm.
I think that's the point that I'm seeing. They need to make some adjustments quick going into, and then we're 3 for 3. I mean, our gauntlet right now, we won against Dallas, we won against the Chiefs, we won against the Bills, but then we lost against, you know, the 49ers. We lost
Okay.
against Dallas, and we
Hmm.
lost against the Seahawks. We're 3 for 3. I mean, going to the next question real quick. I want to just jump into Eric. What are you guys changing to prepare you guys going for Miami Dolphins upcoming week? Because I know that the running game wasn't the running game looked like your defense couldn't hold. Now the passing game Miami has, with Hill. What do you think that Dallas should make the adjustments going in for this next coming week?
Uh, right now, I think as far as stopping the run, I don't know if that'll be something that we really have to focus on. Nick, with Miami, I think we're more equipped to deal with passing, but they're definitely going to have to do something. Now I'm not sure what that'll be, but I'm sure that once we went in as a team and we saw missed assignments. I mean, they were doubling, tripling, Michael Parsons. I mean, so they're taking the best players away, and we don't have anything to kind of accommodate for that. And I was going to mention to you, not to just go back to another subject, but I think that's what's happening with Jalen Hurts. I was going to ask you. I think they're starting to do him almost like Lamar Jackson. They view him as a Lamar Jackson. Once you take him away, that's the team. So, but for us, I would say what we have to do next week, we really have to look at all the errors that we done. I think because passing Tyreek, I mean he's gonna. I mean, what can you do? You can't really do nothing about it. He's gonna get a long pass. The only thing we got to do is try to match match what we can, hold it to a minimum, and try to control the game our way. This week may be us running the ball to hold, taking the, controlling the momentum of the game. So if I had to say something, I would say it would probably be that, us running the ball, um, keeping Tyreek on the sideline, keeping them guys on the sideline and eating that clock up.
Yep. I think if I can really quick that Dallas is better suited at beat Miami, even though Miami's technically a stronger all around team than the Bills are. Because I mean you're built for you're built for that pass game.
Hmm.
I think that Dallas is going to squish the fish. I think it's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be a high scoring game. I think that Dak goes off. He did. I don't think he liked what the criticism he heard after the Bills game. About you know.
Hmm.
Uh, I think that Dallas rebounds on this, and I'm a Dallas fan this week. I promise you,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we really need Miami to lose at least one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So where would that put you in the So if Miami loses one, what did that do for the Bills? I'm
So
just curious.
we have to win out. Okay, so we have the Chargers this week. We have the Pats the week
Mhm.
afterwards, and then we have Miami in Buffalo. The
Okay,
final game of the season. I'm hoping for a snow game, man, because Miami in the snow it just don't work out well for them, right?
gotcha,
But we have to win out, so we can be that one loss. If Miami loses two, we're in. So if you guys beat Miami and we beat Miami last game, we're in. If the game doesn't go like I think it's going to this week for Dallas, and they come away with it somehow, we can still get in. We just got to win out.
gotcha.
Yep.
So Miami's the last team you guys play of the season
Yes, sir.
for the Bills.
Yep.
I know
Yeah,
them.
and
You
we
guys
we
got the
smoked
Chargers
them.
up in New England.
We
Hmm.
smoked them when we played them before, and it was a very similar game. It's like we played them in Miami. It's funny. My dentist is one of my best friends, and he's Miami's fan, right? So I invited him to come watch the game with me, but I didn't tell him I was bringing him to a Bills bar. Uh, so we went to the Anchor Bar for the game. Man, he was pissed.
And Eric, so you guys, if you guys win against Miami, the next game you guys have is the Lions. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Guys
golf.
got a tough
I
schedule.
mean,
yeah.
that right there, and and I talked about this on my previous podcast. And David could even contest about this. You know, Dallas is going into the gauntlet right now,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Of course, you guys won last week. You guys
Hmm.
lost this week, and now you guys are preparing. My predictions,
Hmm.
I say you guys will win this game, but
Hmm.
then again, I think you guys will lose the next game against Lions
Detroit.
because golf. Yeah, I think because golf right now, I mean, he is turning that team around. I mean,
Hmm.
look at it for 2 years after they got rid of Stanford. They're really coming up. Their offense, their defense. They're a low key hungry team, especially for
Yeah,
Detroit.
yeah.
Um, that's just my opinion of what I'm observing.
Hmm.
And then the points. I mean, golf just he destroyed last week against the Broncos. I mean, you saw the sideline. Wilson getting chewed out by the coach. I mean, I see them as a hungry sleeper team. And
Now I'm gonna
uh
say
huh.
this about that.
Yeah, go for it.
I, I view the Lions as a smaller version of the 49ers because
Mm,
they're very
mm,
very aggressive.
mm-hmm.
They play tough football. I seen that
Yep.
early on in the season, and I mean, of course, they had some some games here and there, that we question them, right? We say, are they
Yes.
pretend? But if you really just look at the way they play, man, they're physical. And
Yes.
that would be the only thing that I see being a problem with the Lions, and once we get back to the 49ers,
Mm-hmm.
matching that physicality. We had the physicality against the Eagles, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
and so this is what I said, right? So the Eagles got cooked by Cooks, right?
No, definitely.
Then,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
then you turn
And
right
cook.
back around. This week we got cooked by Cook. If you look at it,
Yeah.
right? So he put
Double the
one
cook.
play. Yeah. So at this point, when I look, I'm like, man, once we do get to that stage, we gotta be aggressive all the way through. And so we gotta fight um, physicality with physicality because that's what I believe what really helped us against the Eagles.
Yeah.
We were
Oh
physical.
yeah.
So my only thing with the Cowboys is like I question their consistency, and that's exactly what you're saying. It's like I uh I've seen a couple of their games this year where they look like a top tier, top 3 team in the league, but it's been inconsistent. The Bills are the same way. I mean, we lost to a couple of teams we should have smoked, and then we've also blown out a couple of the best teams in the NFL. So I mean, if the Cowboys could whatever the Cowboys need to do to increase their consistency, to be able
Mhm.
to beat those top tier teams, especially to make a playoff run. What do you think that looks like? What do they have to do to
It,
increase that consistency?
so now this is gonna hurt coming from a Cowboy player, but this is my observation. Um,
I love to hear it. No, anything that hurts you guys,
yeah.
please feel free to
so
share it.
this so it's the growing pains.
Mm, mm, wow.
Okay, there we go. So it's the growing pains, and what I mean
Yeah.
by that is, yeah, right now we're America's team. There's prestige with us, right? So when our players come to our team, there's an arrogance
Hmm.
about them, right? And so, but they miss what built America's team, right? So early on, when there was Troy Aikman, when there was Emmett, and they lost, right? So they had that grit, that fire, so that by the time they actually got it together, they made America's team what it is.
Yeah.
We're going through that now because for the last 3 years, San Francisco, San Francisco. Before that, Green Bay. Green Bay was our issue, and so after you've been through that, over and over again, that begins to prepare you for moments like this. So actually, the losing is more so of what happens along the way. If we take it to basketball, even Michael Jordan said early on, man, the Pistons was killing them, right? And what he said was, in order to win, you got to learn how to lose. And he was referencing those days where he wasn't getting out of the playoffs and they were destroying them. That's where I think where we are right now as Cowboys, right? We're coming out of that 20-year drought, whatever they want to call it, right? And now we're starting to say, okay, this is what it means to be a Cowboy. It's not the fanfare, it's not that, and we're putting it together at the right time. I can't really hear. There we
Okay.
go.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay.
So
See,
hold on, real
hold
quick.
on,
I'm
real
just
quick.
gonna
I'm just
mute
gonna
real
mute
quick.
real quick.
Right? All right. So to me, I think that is Dak going to be the quarterback for the Super Bowl for you guys going into this season into the playoffs? Because my projections are, I think that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to come right behind, slowly going into the playoffs in the fifth seed. We're going to win it out. But I think you guys are going to play the 49ers into the division finals again. You guys, I see the layout for this upcoming playoff. If you guys win out and stay in the number two seed, you guys are going to be really playing against the Rams. I think right there, if you guys play the Rams, you guys are going to elevate to the 49ers. It's going to be a repeat from last year. To me, and us taking the Tampa Bay, oh, well, I love that because we're slowly going to be itching. Now, if we both compete at the division finals before we go to the conference finals, it's going to be the highlight of the playoffs. I mean, the also highlight of the playoffs will going to be the Bills versus Miami. And I pray that the Bills do it because that's going to be you guys going to be seed 7, and you guys going to play Miami. And so that's my prediction going to the playoffs. I think Dak and Jalen Hurts. I love Jalen Hurts. I feel that they should rest him now before the playoff and play their second string because I think we have a healthy quarterback going in playing these elite teams. I mean, everyone's elite. This is why this is like the biggest gauntlet of all. I mean, playing against the Vikings, the Detroit, these are hitters, and then playing against Dallas and 49ers. I think 49ers is going to lose next week against against the Ravens. They're like you said, their team are very underrested. I don't think they're going to be in the playoffs. I think they're not going to be in the Super Bowl. Let me rephrase that. But that's just me speaking of my observation. Um, would David or Eric, what do you guys think about the possibility of what I'm saying about Dak as the Super Bowl quarterback this year?
Uh, I personally, I think Dak is a really, really skilled quarterback. I don't think he's a leader. You know, I think this is the best Dallas team I've seen in a long time since I was a teenager. You know, but I personally question whether he has leadership ability to take it to the next level. I think it's that simple. Talent wise, yeah, but to go to that next level, you need something a little bit more than talent. There's almost every athlete in the NFL has talent in one way, shape, or form. You know, but to lead an offense deep into the playoffs, let alone the Super Bowl, let alone win the Super Bowl, takes something next level. And I question whether he has that at all. I can't hear you, Joey.
My bad, my bad. Eric, do you think that uh, Dak is a Super Bowl qualified going into the Super Bowl this year?
He's
Maybe
muted.
he's on the air.
Yeah, he's
Oh
muted.
yeah, I'm trying to unmute. Okay,
Okay,
maybe
maybe.
he's.
There he goes. Nope, it went
Huh.
back.
There we go.
Oh, hold on.
Oh, hold on.
Oh,
Uh,
there,
Okay, there we go.
There we go.
There we go. Yeah, I do. Like I said, like I referenced earlier, that's the test, right? He's lost. He's been through the ringer, right? That's what builds fortitude. Not everybody comes straight out and just gets it, right? You can count that on the probably not even on one hand the time that they come straight out and just get it. When it does, it's more of an anomaly. But he's been through the ringer, right? He's been criticized. He's been, I'm like throw him away at one time because I'm frustrated. But if you just really look at his numbers, if you look the way if you take away all critics, this is how you tell if he's a leader. What are those players saying about him, right? How do they come to his defense, right? That's what tells a leader, So I think once it gets to Super Bowl this time, I really believe that we'll beat 49ers. I want it. That's why I say I hope it goes that way. We'll beat 49ers for one because 49ers are arrogant. We've actually been on the ropes for beating them. The last two times we were there, it was some play calling, and there was some things that was on our end as far as coaching that kept us out from winning those games the last 2 years. Earlier, they just had our lunch. That's just how it goes. But I'll ask you this, Joey. We beat the 49ers. Who stops us? Who stops us? Yeah. Who stops
Uh,
us?
he's showing
He's
you on the
showing you on
hat.
the hat. No. No.
I,
I,
I'll be
I'll
honest
be
with you.
honest with you.
I
I have hold
hold on real quick.
on real quick.
I'm gonna mute
I'm
you
gonna
real
mute you
quick,
real quick,
and I'm gonna
and
open
I'm
up.
gonna open up. Okay, go ahead.
That's a good question. Uh, I really think if we do this fine tuning going into the playoffs and really dive into our offense coordinator and defense coordinator, and we have tweaked a little bit, instead of letting Jalen Hurts run it and stay in the pocket and execute on our weapons, our receivers, and getting Swift to run the ball like we saw last night, I think that we could be the same team in October. I think in November that when we first play against the Cowboys, I think we gather that back, come back, And if we're playing you guys, I think that because we already got the blueprint, we already got the blueprint of beating you guys once. We're tied 1-1, and you cannot underrest the Hurts. Jalen Hurts, he is a phenomenal quarterback, and of course we have lost three back to back on the road. No, we lost one. We lost one at home and two on the road, right? Dallas and then Seahawks. Um, Honestly, I think Eagles will bring it, and everyone should be healthy. Slay, I think. Yeah. So the answer to your question, within no doubt, I'm flying high. I think Dallas. I mean, I think Dallas will go down and Eagles will come on top. Real quick, David. Um, what do you? I know that you guys are actually a sleeper team right now. Do you think that the Bills may come from underneath and surprise the AFC and take it all the way? A Cinderella story? Because I know me and Erica talk about our NFC right now, and it's going to be a neck to neck with the same record. We're going to finish out with the same record. But do you predict that you guys could be a sleeper to knock out the top hitters of the Ravens and also, I mean, everyone else? I mean, you guys have some pretty strong teams, the Miami Chiefs, of course. Do you think the Bills are an underdog sleeper team going into you guys' playoff?
So what I'm worried about is it possible? Let me show you something real quick. Uh, I'm a believer, right? Right. I'm a believer, but I'm
Yeah.
also realistic, right? So the amount of effort that we're going to have to put in to pull this off is going to have to be astronomical. Can we keep that up for, you know 6 7 weeks, to make it to the Super Bowl? I question that. If we play like we did against Dallas for from here on out for the rest of the season, no turnovers, ball control, play like a team, amazing defense, shut down, lockdown defense. Yeah, I don't think there's very many teams that we can't give a run for their money. You know, um, I question whether we can do it for 6 or 7 weeks solid. Because that's what we have to do. It's going to be a struggle to get into the playoffs, and is there going to be a letdown in energy after that? We might have to play Miami back to back. And yes, we smoked them the first time we played them. If we can pull off that win, last game of the season, like you said, they might be our first playoff game. They're an elite team with some elite athletes. Can we beat them twice in a row? And then go on to play the Chiefs or the Ravens, for a chance to play in the Super Bowl. It's we're gonna need some miracles, man. But I'm a believer.
Oh my Lord Jesus Christ! I see you repping it. I see you rocking it. Um, and you're a sleeper team. I mean, just and you're a sleeper team. I'm really highly anticipated to see what you guys are gonna do within these next couple of weeks. And let's go back to Eric real quick. I'm opening the mic. I'm gonna mute mine real quick just to see what he could recap on what I just said on the Eagles taking Dallas out of the picture in the conference finals. Eric, I'll mute you. I mute myself.
In the words of Dr. Phil, how's that plan working out for you? Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. That's one of those things, man. So I'll say, so again, I'll say this. I respect the Eagles, right? But this is where I believe we have the advantage when it comes to the Eagles, right? There's only there's only one player. So if you take Jalen out, I don't believe there's a run game that would be to the magnitude of the Bills that we have to worry about. We've already shown that we can take care of AJ, right? So we've already shown that he'll get some passes, right? He'll get some yards on him. But once we shut that down, that's the game. So Philadelphia operates around Jalen Hurts, right? When it comes to the Bills, when you not only could we not stop the run game, but we couldn't even tackle the quarterback because of how big he is, right? So You got running threat there, and then on top of that, throwing the ball. So there's so many dimensions to it. Then, not to mention the defense. Philadelphia doesn't have that great of a defense right now, so I don't see a plan. I don't see a plan that'll actually put them in a position to beat us because technically, we really should have won the first game.
So
Well,
I'll
I'll
tell you
say
one
one
thing.
thing. Oh, go David. Go David.
Go, David.
So I'm going to say something, and especially with the two of you here, it's going to be a little unpopular. But I got to say this. I think the AFC is stacked. I think regardless whether it's Baltimore, whether it's Kansas City, whether it's Miami, whether the Bills get lucky and run deep, the AFC is stacked. And this is what's going to be unpopular that I'm going to say. I think the Niners are the only team capable of winning the Super Bowl. I think whoever shows up to the Super Bowl, I think y'all are capable of making it there, right? I think the Niners are the
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
only
whoa, hold
team
on, hold on.
that
We
is.
don't do no whiners up in here.
I'm not a Niners fan. I'm just saying.
I know,
I,
I
I
know,
think
I know.
if the Cowboys make it to the Super Bowl, if the Eagles make it to the Super Bowl, if they're playing any of the four teams that I just mentioned, I don't think they have a chance.
Yeah, I think so too. But I just think Purdy doesn't have it. He's doing phenomenal right now. He's looking good. They're pretty stocked right now with a good elite team, defense and offense. Um, I know this is his second year going in with I think like 20 games from coming off from the last ending of last year. Um, a lot of my 49er friends are saying that do that 49ers has the potential to go into the Super Bowl and winning it. Honestly, not to be as an Eagle fan, of course we lost to them. I'm gonna be a realist. I'm gonna be a realist. I just think that when pressure comes in the spotlight in the Super Bowl is a different element, a different atmosphere for a young quarterback. Of course, you could go to the playoffs for the division and the conference, but when you're there, I mean, I think maybe Jalen Hurts choked against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl because that was his second year and making it to the Super Bowl. I think that right there is making a big, crucial part of a young quarterback. I mean, look what happened to Joe Brees, right? Joe Brees, Joe Burrow, Joe Burrow. I take that back from the Bengals when he played against Tom Brady, right? Everyone say this is a just straight off from college, right to the Super Bowl against the best of the best, right? And what happened? Not to be negative Nancy, but he kind of did fall under all that pressure, all that spotlight, as a young quarterback. Do I see him in the future going again? Of course. Would I love him to win? That would have been the best highlight front cover page ever. Um, but once again, do I think the 49ers are going to do it? I'm saying
No.
no, but that's my observation.
I don't think they are either. I just don't think that anybody
Yeah.
in NFC is going to match up with those, especially those four teams in the AFC. I
hmm
think my something that I stand strong on is that the AFC wins the Super Bowl this year, hands down. Whoever makes it.
And I wanted to touch on this question. I know that Eric touched on this on his podcast, but I'm gonna bring it to light real quick. Eric, you're gonna about to open the mic. This is a question. The MVP candidate after this week. Who is the next runner up for the MVP? Knowing that it did affect your boy, Dak Prescott, but I'm open to mic, mute myself. Tell me what you think. What's your observation going into this?
Okay, so it definitely took a little bit of steam out the engine when it comes to the Prescott. But when I look at it when I look at it from a negative to a positive, right? The first thing that I think of is, hey, it says something when they say, hey, we have the game plan around this guy, right? Early on, it was we need the game plan around Ezekiel Elliott. And so that's what took a lot of the steam away from Dak Prescott then. Elliott's gone. So now the game plan is we're not going to let Prescott beat us. That was the thing that was said years ago. He's just a game manager. Deacon Dak, even Skip Bayless called him that, right? So right now, at this point, if I had an NBA Jam thing, I'd press a button because he's on fire. He's on fire. He's throwing the ball right, but they're saying to themselves in these meetings, hey, we're not gonna let Dak put up 300-400 yards on us. We're gonna try to keep him. We're gonna run the ball. If we can run it effectively, we gonna manage the time. We gonna keep him on the sideline because when he's out there, he's making plays, and then they rush. He get a sack, or they tip the ball or something like that. But in my opinion, outside of that, that even though he had a stinker of a game, there's still some light at the end of that tunnel, depending on how you look at it. Runner up at this point, if you look at the numbers, you really got to give Purdy his due, right? Just if you're really looking at the numbers, you got to say, hey, Purdy, and he may even still be the MVP unless these next couple of games Prescott redeems himself and takes us on, and then at that point there is no argument. I can't hear you.
You're right.
You're right.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
you're right.
Honestly,
Honestly,
honestly.
honestly.
I mean, you're right. Numbers don't lie. Victories don't lie. Moving up the bracket shows who's the next quarterback. David, do you think Josh Allen is soon going to be on that bracket, moving up, if you guys start executing each game and winning out all the way through? Do you think that he will get the recognition on your guys' side, or no? Do you think he's going to
No.
fold?
No, no, I think he's going to physically be able to do it, but because of there's people. I'm looking at the front runners for the MVP race right now, and there's people on this list that are both ahead of him and below him that haven't had the woes that he's had this year. Where they haven't had the 2 4 interception games. They haven't had the 2 interceptions in a fumble games. They haven't had the so I mean, we just completely left Lamar Jackson, who's number 2 right now in the stats for the MVP race. Do I think Josh Allen deserves it over Lamar Jackson? No, absolutely not. Even if he wins out, even if Allen wins the rest of the season, I think I I think the numbers are exactly the race is going to finish exactly the way it's lined up right now. Purdy, Jackson, Prescott. In that order. I'm honored that Josh Allen's even in the conversation, but do I think he deserves it? Even if he has 3 perfect games from here on out? No, no, not
Yeah,
this year. Maybe
yeah.
next year.
So we have a possibility to see maybe Prescott could be a good runner up, but right now it's just we got to see how the season plays out.
Mhm.
Last but not least, one of these questions, real quick, especially this. I know this happened to you guys, and this definitely happened to me last night. And this is one of the questions before we kind of end it real quick. Come on, the refs. You guys saw that play last night. There was 2 calls that should have been overturned. Like, for me, real quick, I really was upset about that touchdown, the interception, and the interception. His foot, his, it was like this gap right here, and they call it an interception, and he had one foot in, and the other foot did not touch. Would that have been a game changer? Of course. The I don't know what was going through Jalen Hurts' mind. We only needed 12 yards. He could have ran it in, could have got a field goal, could have tied the game for overtime, like for some odd reason we always do. But I just feel like certain calls that refs really dictate the game, how it really plays out. Um, and it's sad to say when you go against the referees, you're gonna get penalized. Look what happened to Andy. Look what happened to Patrick Mahomes for them lashing out of that last game call at the end and getting fined for it. I mean, as a spectator, you as a player, and a spectator watching their player to express their feelings and frustration of some of these referees' calls and getting fined, I think the the referees should be audited. That's just me talking about it. Of course, I know some Dallas fans. I'm only a fan. There are some calls that kind of went Eagles' way that should have went the other way. But did it make a big difference on both ends? Of course, of course. I mean, there were some calls I saw in Dallas. There's some calls that I saw in Bills, but you have so many eyes on the field. Is Vegas running it? That's just me. No, no, no conspiracy. I'm just saying that, right? It's just that's my point of view. I'm like, come on, ref, you're really dictating these type of games that I think a lot of fans are so interested to see their team just play it out and not throw the yellow flag here and there just to get their pocket filled. That's just me saying, but that's my opinion. Uh, let's go with Eric real quick. Eric, that question. Open the mic real quick.
Uh, there's so yeah, there's one of those things where when it's against you, it's like man, if it would have been a momentum changer. But when it's for you, it's like, man, yeah, they got it right. So it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard. And that's one of those things where they say you can't leave it in the hands. You can't leave it in the hands of the referee. And there's 60 minutes or so, right? That you have to. As a matter of fact, there was a basketball player that said something about this. He said that in the NBA, and it alludes to what you said about the money, right? And you can actually look this up. He said in the NBA, he said in the finals, he said when there's like certain teams that is more beneficial for them to play, he said in the regular season, and he was alluding to, okay, in the regular season to beat a game, you beat a player, beat a team, you can beat them by 1 point. But in the finals, you got to beat them by 15 points in order for to really win. Because again, you're playing against the ref that could change the game with a call. So you can't play to the extent where you're gonna play like, hey man, we can squeeze this one out. Your feet got to be on the gas the whole way through. That's where we fail. Well, all teams fail at points, right? But I think to answer your question, um, once it's in our favor, no question, right? But once it's against us, that's when the biggest issues come because Mahomes, if so, let's just say the referee didn't call it. The play where the wide receiver was clearly on the line. He didn't call it. They made a touchdown. That would have been one of the greatest plays, for us to come back and win the game in history. But now you have the other team complaining about the referees, right? They got it wrong. Now, you see what I'm saying? And so it's just one of those things. This is a part of the game, and you got to kind of accept it when it. You got to take the good with the bad on that one, unfortunately. But man, it sucks when it's against you. Yeah.
Definitely. And
Definitely.
David, what do you
David,
what do you think on that question on the referees? I mean, I know some calls I've seen when you guys play that they went against you guys and they should have went the other way. I mean, what's your thoughts and your opinions on that,
I,
especially
I,
in this
I
half of
love
the season?
I love how Eric pointed out that it shouldn't have to be in the referee's hands. If I had if we had our foot on the our foot on the pedal, the gas pedal the whole time, that would have just been an annoying circumstance, right? But I mean, I'm real big preacher of I'm saying it's up to your team. If there's some bad calls, like you should have that shouldn't have been the decision maker until we played the Eagles this year, and I'm like the ref screwed us, and that's why we lost the game. So exactly like he said, it's like when they're going your way this week
Mhm.
against the Cowboys. There was several times that the Bills got calls that I was like, oh, snap the ball, quick, quick, snap the ball,
Exactly.
because they either didn't
Exactly.
call something or they missed called something, and I don't want them to take it back. The calls were going our way this week, and because I try to be have an all around perspective, not just that of a Bills fan. Like I definitely noticed that. I would have been pissed off a couple of
Yeah.
times this week as a Cowboys fan. So I think that yeah, the Almighty does have something to do with it. But if you
Oh,
really
yeah, definitely.
you really are. that good a football team, you shouldn't leave it to that last second decision that could possibly change the momentum that big.
Definitely true. You're absolutely right. I mean, Eric said it right, and I've heard it multiple times. That you can't let the game be dictated by the refs. And it's a good observation for the quarterback to basically this is we have to execute at the beginning. And if we're down, we have to come back in the second half to make sure that the plays are not in the refs' hands.
Yep.
I really appreciate Eric kind of giving me that point of view from a different aspect. Even though, you know, as a fan, we do want the calls on our favor sometimes, and I basically well, when he said that, it kind of gave me a flashback of yesterday. I think was it our team or I think it was the Seagulls was where he basically caught it. Oh, it was I think it was us. We caught it. Smith caught it, and then it was a fumble, but they got the ball back and snapped it. So could have been an overturned call if they review it. 100%, yeah. So
Yep.
then at those moments, you just like be quiet and just like, okay, cool. You
Yeah,
know,
so
uh,
same thing. Stefan Diggs dropped a ball and he cradled it so good, and
oh,
they got
love
to the line like in a lightning flash and snapped the ball and
that.
ran the next play, and they showed the replay from like three different angles. He dropped the ball and cradled it really good. And I knew before they showed the replays because Stefan Diggs walked away like nothing happened, and he's always chirping his mouth. So when he did that, I was like, oh, he probably dropped that.
Oh man, I know there's some calls, but I want to thank this amazing panel real quick. I'm about to bring on Eric real quick. Once again, from a Dallas point of view and aspect of this amazing game that you guys played against, the Bill Mafia. You know, Cowboys have respect going into these next couple weeks. Um, as an Eagles fan, it's going to be a neck to neck. We're still going back and forth in our division right now. We got two division games. You guys have one. I think that Washington could be a sleeper. I'm not sure if you guys keep the momentum going in. But before I say, I want to bring you on the air real quick before we close out. Once again, Eric, I really appreciate you taking out your time. I'm gonna mute myself real quick.
Okay. All right. I can't hear you.
Open the mic
Open the
for you.
mic for you. Okay. I missed what you said earlier. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
It's okay.
Whatever.
Whatever.
I said we're about to close out real quick. I want to give you a shout out. Thank you for spending your time and your observation going into this next week, and basically saying that you guys are have one of the hardest seasons going into the ending season. Let me rephrase that. And I just want to give you open the mic to appreciate you for taking out your time this evening to come on this amazing panel as a Dallas fan and express your recap and your highlights of what happened against the Bills.
Again, thank you for having me on here. It was a great time. Spending with you and David. David, thank you for your commentary. A lot of good energy. Doing here, so I thoroughly enjoyed it. But when I go back to the game, I try to forget it. That's about I try to forget it. I have nightmares about Cook. I woke up the other day and I woke up and I had a dream he was running the football at me. So that just show you how bad it was for me, man. But we try to, as a Cowboy fan, we put it behind us. We try to get ready for the next week. Um, and I do believe, that we'll actually use some of the formula that the Bills used against us for Miami next week because it worked to a T when you really look at it. Right, run the ball. You can't pass it. If you can't pass it, we don't have to worry about Tariq Hill. Right, so if we do that, and right now Pollard is starting to get his groove back. I for one still think we shouldn't have got rid of Elliott. That was that lightning and thunder that we really needed. That was beating up the offensive line, making them tired, making them second guess themselves. Like, hey man, do I really want to tackle this guy? Right? I don't think we got as much meat, outside of Pollard. But I do believe that the run game next week, if we follow that plan that was put against us, I believe that'll be enough to overcome Miami. Now Detroit, that's a different thing. But Miami, I believe we can get through Miami.
Well, let's see one game at a time. And once again, David, I love you for coming on, spending time. I know you're a busy man, selling, flipping, all the amazing jewelry out there in San Antonio. Recapping on this amazing victory you guys did this past Sunday. The mic is yours. Once again, thank you again for coming on the Joey Fresh show.
Thank you for having me, Joey and Eric. It's been a pleasure. It was a pleasure to meet you, and I hope we get to interact in the near future again. I want to say really quick about Dallas. If you watch the first quarter and a half, Pollard ran his ass off, and as soon as it looked like it might get out of hand, they went away from the run. So I agree with what you said. If they follow the dictates of what happened to them and pound the football, that it could get real ugly against Miami. I can see y'all might just straight up blow them out. Um, I I think that it was a perfect storm for us against Dallas. That we came and played our best football. They might have been mentally a little soft, knowing that they had a playoff spot locked up, and the weather as well, that cold raininess. 40 degrees in Buffalo compared to 40 degrees in Dallas. It's a different thing. So if you remember the show last week, I didn't have very strong predictions. I was worried. I said that because I am a believer that I thought the Bills would win, but I did not think it was going to look like it did. I did not think it was going to be
Ooh,
a blowout like that. Are we capable of playing football like that on a regular basis? That's what I want to know, because I've said over and over again that
yeah.
the Bills are a weird team this year. We're capable of beating anybody in the NFL, but we're also capable of losing to anybody in the NFL, and it's frustrating as a Bills fan. Knowing the talent we have, watching games like this,
Mhm.
watching what we did to Miami, watching what we did to the Cowboys, and then I'm scared to play the Chargers. It
Ooh,
shouldn't be like that. I should go to sleep tonight thinking to myself, we're gonna roll over the Chargers this week. But we got smoked by New England, like week
yeah.
5 or 6.
Yep.
So it's like, show me that you can do it consistently, and I'll sleep better at night. I think that we got a long road ahead of us. I'm really excited to see what we can do after this last game, but I wouldn't be completely surprised if we didn't make the playoffs. I wouldn't be completely surprised if we didn't make a deep run. I'm still hopeful for the future. I still think the next couple of years have something special, especially if we can put it together like we have, here in these last couple of games. Yeah, thank you again, Eric, and thank you,
Oh,
Joey Fresh. I love being on the show. Hope to get to be on again in the future sometime.
well, definitely would love to have you guys when we go into the playoffs. I'll definitely have the panel up to you guys to
I might
see
have
what
a
the
fishing pole. We'll see. Hopefully not.
Hope I don't. Hope I don't. But hey, you guys don't never underrest the team that's going on Sundays. Any given Sunday, we'll always know. The team could do it, the team can't. But at the end of the day, we're fans to the end, regardless what happens. Regardless what happens to our quarterback, regardless what happens to our season, we're still fans to the end, and we have spotlight for you guys moving forward. So this is why this is the platform for Joey Fresh talking trash against other teams, but also sharing the facts that where we're coming from, what we love the most is our teams. Yes, we're like the coaches and the players and observation on both sides, but at the end of the day, if it's not us, who is really, there for the team? We're the ones that basically dictate how our team is, and we put money and we invest in them. So, we have to give a shout out to them, and we really appreciate it. Thank you again, David. Thank you again, Eric, your boy, Joey Fresh. I want to say real quick, there was a shout out, free Dom. I think Dom should be released back into it. But this is the podcast. Thank you for everyone for watching. We are also sponsored by Spotify, on Facebook, and also YouTube. You guys be blessed. Your boy Fresh, and have a wonderful evening.